I am probably best remembered for one decision that I made during World War II as the 33rd President of the United States. I am Harry Truman, born May 8, 1884, died on December 26, 1972, and I made the decision to drop the atomic bombs on Japan. I was born as a first child to a farmer and mule trader, John Anderson Truman. I completed my education at Independence High School and chose not to pursue a college degree due to my family's failing finances. I worked a few odd jobs for a construction company and a few banks before returning to farming. When World War I broke out, I volunteered for duty in 1917 despite the fact that I was too old for the forced draft and would have been able to get an exemption because I was a farmer. I had a rather successful career as a soldier, rising to become a captain of the 129th Artillery Regiment, known for its unruly attitude and ineffectiveness. Despite the bad reputation of the regiment, the company became a highly skilled fighting unit, and I was able to lead them successfully through some of the fighting on the Western Front of the war. After the war, I married a woman that I had been dating before the war had started. Then I started my political career with help from contacts I had made during the war. I started as a highway overseer, moved into an administrative job, and was later elected as a presiding judge until I ran and was elected as a United States Senator in 1934. Through my 2 terms as a senator, I was able to gain public support and recognition. Because of this popularity, Franklin Roosevelt chose me as his 1944 presidential running mate after deciding that current Vice President Henry Wallace was no longer a viable option. After the election, I did not have a major role in Roosevelt's administration and mainly was just a go-between for him in the Senate. 82 days after I was elected into the vice presidency, I was summoned to the White House and tersely told by Eleanor Roosevelt, "Harry, the president is dead." Shortly after learning of this development, I was sworn in as the 33rd President of the United States of America. After being a vice president for just a short while, I found that I now had the obligation as commander-in-chief to end a world war. Within 6 months, Germany had surrendered, and I had chosen to drop 2 atomic bombs on Japan. World War II was over, but not my problems. I signed the charter to ratify the United Nations, but international relations were generally deteriorating. The United States ally in World War II, the Soviet Union, had every intention of remaining in control of the Eastern European nations. These diplomatic tensions marked the beginning of the Cold War. After I won the election for president, and with no desire for another devastating war, I took the stance of containing communism, rather than fighting a direct war to free those lands. After the war in Korea broke out, I quickly moved troops to help South Korea to check North Korea's advancing army. I initially encouraged General MacArthur to take over the North Korean government, believing that China would not intervene. When China brought troops, I changed my strategy to preserving South Korea's freedom. The popular General MacArthur objected to my new strategy, and I had him replaced in 1951. Despite the many problems I faced in my administration, some lasting effects of my legacy were some notable contributions. Even with the wars going on, I passed legislation that banned racial discrimination in the federal government's hiring process, and I desegregated the military. Unfortunately, the Cold War did begin during my tenure as president, but in my farewell address, I addressed the American Republic with hope that one day the Cold War would end and peace would be restored.